Welcome to the channel Excellentz, where we strive for excellence. We strive to be one better than what we were yesterday. Why? Because when man study himself, he'll know himself well. And once man know himself, he'll know he's the marvel of the universe. Now, first of all, in studying yourself, you got to study your birth. When I say study your birth, remember, Nikola Tesla told you to remember that if you knew the 3, the 6, and the 9, and the different degrees of things on this earth, you will know yourself and know who you are. I was born 12/13/61.
Right. Even in the Bible, they talk about they circled the walls of Jericho 7 times. They sounded the trumpet 7 times, and the walls came tumbling down. And did you know when a Muslim goes to Medina to make his Hajj in Mecca, he must 7 times and the right is complete.
Right, and in your book, you give a breakdown of the 7 wonders of the world.
Yeah.
52 weeks, 5 plus 2, 7, and then the 7 days of the week. So
7 holes in the body. I mean, it's just incredible how 7s are just, it's God's number.
And that's very powerful, even 7 colors, right?
Yeah.
So, but within that, now think about that, right? That number 7, and really, there's a few numbers that I want to get to.
Understand your numbers.
Some of the other ones.
But right now, pay attention to the 12/13.
Yes, it is.
You understand me? But at the same time, it's a very powerful one because time is governed by 7s. You understand me? When we're talking about the 7 days of the week, we live in that cycle every single day, right? Like we have cycles within our day, right?
Yeah.
We are on a 7-day cycle, and we don't think about that. But see, in our day, they call them ultradian cycles. And we have these 90-day cycles where we can go through probably around 3-4 times where we have peak performance, right? Where our brain is at its height. And then we go through a, mental recession. And then we have to go through an ultradian healing process where it takes about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we have 90 minutes of probably like peak performance in these cycles. It goes down for about 20 minutes. It comes back up for another 90. And so that's one cycle within our day. Then we have circadian cycles within a 24-hour cycle, right? Which would be a 6, right? But then we go through a 7-day cycle, right? Now, most people in society are living on this 7-day cycle, and they don't think about it, but that's what governs their reality.
Yeah, and we have 7 days in a week.
Right, 7 days in a week.
And in fact, if you look, when a child reaches age 7, it is the age of reason. When they reach 14, which is twice 7, it is the number of puberty. When they reach 3 times 7, which is 21, then you become legal. 7 times 7 is 49, which is called a very important year. So 7s are always very, very important. In fact, if a person owns a dog or a cat, for every 1 year you make, it's 7 years for your cat or your dog. If you look at world history is 70 years. 70 years
Now
in world history.
pay attention to the 12/13.
So if you look at the United States, which is only 200 and something odd years old, well, by history and world standards, it's considered a baby nation.
Yeah.
It's only 2 or 3 days old.
Right.
And some months.
Well, see, now that's interesting in the concept that they said that the world was created in 7 days.
Yes.
What we know as days today is not what days have always been, though. Because the days that we know now are constructed based on calendars.
Yes.
Right? So a cycle of a day is considered to be, based on a 24-hour cycle rhythm of the sun, right? But at the same time, as you just gave that broke down, a person can think about a day being a larger cycle rather than smaller cycles to where we go about it, right, in our common day today.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of understanding how these cycles work. And it's not just with 7. Nikola Tesla said those who understand the 3, 6, and 9 also understand the universe.
Right.
So if you look at an astrologer, each planet is either 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 360 degrees, but they all add up to the digit of a 3, 6, or 9.
That makes sense. I mean, even the 3s within a month, because most months are 30 days.
They're 30 days of the rule.
Right? And that's a cycle within itself. And then, but at the same time, you know, the number 13 governs time with the moon, but man's calendar is 12. What's the
12,
difference between the
13?
number 13 and 12 as far as power cycles?
Well, in the tarot deck, the 12th card is called the Hangman. It's a picture symbol of a man hung upside down by his ankle. It denotes mental suffering and anxiety of mind, that if a person is not careful, they become the victim or the sacrifice for the plans and intrigues of others. So 13, though, is called the death card. In the picture, the 13, it's a skeleton with a long curving blade cutting off the heads of men and women. But so people in their not knowing or lack of knowledge looked at it as a literal death when it's really a symbolic death. It's a death to an old way. So it says those who understand the 13 is given power and dominion. So if you took the United States, for example, although it is the 4th day of the month, July 4th, this whole structure was predicated upon the 13. 13 stars, 13 stripes, 13 naval ships guarded the colonies, e pluribus unum, 13 letters. The White House, 13 letters. Don't tread on me, 13 letters. And so even the word assassination is 13 letters, you know? So 4 has always, and 13 has always been very important to the United States. If you look at the dollar bill, you got the eagle that holds 13 arrows, 13 claws. It's got 13 stripes. It's got 13 clusters above the head. If you take the protractor to the triangle on the back of the dollar bill is 67 degrees. Well, 6 plus 7 is 13.
Yeah.
So those who understand it. So if you then go to the root of 13, 1 plus 3 is 4. A president is elected every 4 years.
Yeah, 4 cycles.
Then Washington, D is broken into 4 quadrants: northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. The area code to Washington is area code 202. Yes, and the zip code is 20002, which is a 4. So everything about it is predicated upon the 4 or its higher octave, the 13.
That's powerful. See, that just gets me deeper into the idea of understanding the cycles of man, time, and
See,
universe.
when you understand
Like,
that,
'cause,
you'll understand the cycles of
woman's
this God
menstrual
right
cycle
here and how many
considers to be a
times he have
freezing
traveled
cycle.
this
So it's outside of
universe
just 24 hours.
and
So
been through
a
the
woman goes
chaos
through
and
that cycle
confusion that
13
y'all have
times
tried to
throughout the
put them
year.
through.
That's
You
exactly
understand
right.
me?
You
And
better
so
understand who you
you have
dealing
the
with
old
when you
world
dealing with
calendars
me.
that's represented based
The
on
12,
the
the
moon, right,
13.
the lunar, but the new man calendar is based on the solar. So when man started to control time, his was based on himself, right? But when it was revolved around a woman, it was based on the universe. You understand me? And the correct cycles that keep us in balance. And we live out of balance when we live within man's time, right? So when a person starts to grade their life by a 7 cycle, that's not correct because that's not the way nature is composed. Right?
Well, nature is a whole different energy against man-made or contrived time.
Right.
So, for example, the moon is always associated with a woman. So on the day the woman has the first day of her menses, that's considered a new moon. 14 days from her menses is her ovulation, which they call a full moon. So back in the 70s or 80s, it was a popular thing then called the rhythm method. The women knew that on the day of their period, all they had to do is count 14 days from the day it started, and they knew that's when their ovulation cycle would be very high if they wanted to conceive or not to conceive and stuff like that. So all these things, now fast forward, all a woman got to do is download a fertility app.
Yeah. Well, see
that's how you
right?
women been getting pregnant.
And this is why I was
14
studying
days
these cycles,
after your
it's like,
cycle.
all right, I find myself sometimes where I can have peak performance.
Education
right?
is
where
something.
my highest level of thinking, right?
High level
existence,
education.
right? I'm at that gamma frequency where, creativity,
gamma
focus,
frequency.
I have emotional resilience. It's at a very high peak.
Yeah.
Intuition.
I'm out.
So that's when I should be working.